Well, artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the way that companies process and store data. But using AI services could mean handing over swaths of information to a third party. With that in mind, don't let AI steal your company's data, one tech CEO warns. Instead, bring AI in-house to keep the information secure. Matt Calkins is the CEO and founder of Appian, a software company that automates business processes. He joins me now. Good to have you on the show here. So, Matt, talk about this, because obviously when ChatGPT first came on the scene, everyone's sort of jumping on top of it. You have, students, you have employees trying to figure out ways to make it part of their workflow. But what does this mean then for some of these companies and their information that they're essentially handing over to Microsoft?
Look, ChatGPT is amazing and everybody wants to use it. As you point out, students, businesses, everybody wants to use it. But the thing we've got to realize is that whenever a business uses artificial intelligence, before it gets a great feedback, it's got to first offer its own data. So you're sharing your own corporate information. And we all understand that corporate information is one of the most valuable assets an organization can have. And so you've got to be comfortable with sharing whatever it is that you want a response on with ChatGPT or with some other public AI algorithm. And if you're not comfortable, then you need to find another way to use AI.
And so when you say the future of AI is private, what will that start looking like?
Well, public AI is when you send your information over the internet to ChatGPT or a generative AI similar to that, and you get back a response. Private AI is a form of AI that defends your data. It means training your own algorithm inside the business so that you're sharing data with yourself. And no other business, and certainly not your competitor, gets the benefit of the algorithm that you trained. That's what we help facilitate at Appian, actually. We sell AI to businesses, specifically focusing on private AI. So private AI is a lot easier than you might imagine. You need to download a publicly available AI product from a marketplace like Hugging Face, and then you need to train it internally just by gathering your own data and training the new algorithm. It's effective, it's fast, it's very simple, and most importantly, it's private.
And so then for people, perhaps if you're a small business and you're wondering how expensive is it to try and, come up with your own private AI, if you like the results that you've seen with ChatGPT, but now you're like, well, how do I afford to do this in-house?
I think that in the next few quarters, you're going to see this trail get very simple. Right now, we're all coming to grips with how powerful and extraordinary AI can be. And the demand that's going to drive will drive creativity, and it's going to become exceptionally simple to use AI in either a public or a private context. I bet that in the long run, private AI is actually more popular. I compare it to a custom software application. Every business has lots of those. Custom software applications are a typical tool that allow a business to stay autonomous and unique relative to their competitors, to enable unique behaviors. I think we're going to be using private AI algorithms all over the place to do a similar thing.
And I want to ask you about some of these lawsuits. I mean, I knew when I started seeing sort of AI-trained music and artists, I was like, oh, obviously this isn't going to go very well. And then we have this class action complaint in a San Francisco court last week from two authors saying that OpenAI alleging that they ingested their books to train their AI models. What sort of slippery slope does this open up when you do have something like this, scraping these other sources for data without really knowing where it's coming from? You're just sort of sitting at your own computer.
I think these authors have a very good point. We'll see how the law shakes out, but we need to understand how AI really works. AI takes information, and it doesn't so much create content as it predicts content, which is to say, based on what it's read, it's predicting what's the next word, what's the next note, what's the next pixel. It's just a predictor, and it's nothing without the data. It's just reconstituting the data in response to your question. And as such, you could make the argument that all the value in AI is dependent upon the data. And therefore, fair use might not include training your algorithm on someone else's data and creating a new product. I believe that if the law turns out the way I anticipate, the biggest winners in the AI revolution will actually be those who own data, not those who own AI.
And Matt, just very quickly, because obviously when we go into an election year, a lot of people are wondering, what does this mean if I'm getting, AI calls that can perhaps create misinformation. What do you think regulators should do as they see whether it's public or private, and you're not really sure what some of these private companies also might be doing as they're training their AI?
Yeah, that's right. AI is going to be another source of mischievous nonsense in the public sphere. They won't be the first source. There's plenty of people who do this already. You know, there's trolls, there's manipulation, there's all sorts of sources of falsehood. And I think that we've just got to understand that we live in a world where plenty of falsehood exists, and train people to be their own best filter. I would sooner trust a person to be a filter than I would trust the government to be a filter, though I would appreciate some sort of rule that allowed us to identify AI-driven content. I think that would be constructive so that people could differentiate from, from what the source is of the content they are understanding.
It certainly helps you. You need to be able to make an informed choice, but you can't do that if you can't tell what's real and what's not. A big thank you there to Matt Calkins, CEO and founder of Appian. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks, Rochelle.